Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Rhetoric. Berto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. You know why? Because I found that reporter in Kenosha, Wisconsin, who, after an explosive headline inside of their newspaper, decided to say, I'm going to call it quits. I'm going to put my actions where my mouth is. Could not have been more impressed with the young man who actually quit. Then he made national news. We got him. We were one of the first as well to get him. So we are going to have him. But we have a whole lot of other stuff to talk about. So we are going to do that right now. We're going to do that as soon as I get it up. Hey, Tank 28, Egberto, why is this lady punching a 12-year-old with a Trump sign in Colorado? Not cool. We got to get along. I'm getting so down with all this. I just shut up nowadays. I'm just one vote. Much love. No, Tank 28. You don't shut up. You engage. You talk. You go ahead and you shake folks' hand. We don't do that. We don't shut up. This country belongs to everybody, brother. I don't care where you're at. So, look, I don't know about that. I have no clue about that stuff. I'd like to. I don't know what you're talking about though, because I've been doing a whole lot of other stuff. So maybe you found something that I didn't. So put a link out there. Or the audio is in sync today. I did absolutely nothing. Who knows why? Who knows why? Anyhow, put the link on the inside of the feed for me, please. Tank 28, please do. I'm going to salute my people in a little bit. Anyway, title of the show today. The black reporter who quit over headline speaks. Katy Tur grills Facebook VP and more. Look, black reporter Daniel Thompson explains why he quit the Kenosha News. Katy Tur did what so many would like to do. That's a typographical error in my second sentence. That's terrible. That is terrible. Anyhow, forgive me, folks. I'll clean it up later on. Anyway, Katy Tur interrogated interviewed Facebook VP of Global Affairs and Comms Nick Clegg. It was riveting and is how the fourth estate is supposed to function. Journalist, reporter, editor Daniel Thompson resigned on Saturday from the Kenosha News after objecting to the headline of an article that chronicled a rally in support of Jacob Blake. Interestingly, this reporter was at the conference, and when he saw how his newspaper reported it, it pretty much pissed him off, justifiably so. And then we talk a little bit about the numbers. Anyhow, but you know what? I'm going to actually start with the numbers. And I'm going to tell you why I want to start with the numbers. Because I want to get all my people. Before I do that, let me salute everybody. Shakrita Murray, welcome aboard. Tank 28, welcome aboard. AVQ, welcome aboard. Dimitri OG, ¿cómo estás, mi hermano? What's more dangerous, a false friend or a known enemy? A false friend is much more dangerous than a known enemy. A known enemy, you're always prepared for, my friend. Sir Wesley 08, my Twitch. Listen, Wesley is holding down Twitch. Bruce and AVQ and Rudnin's holding down Facebook. Then Tank 28 is holding down YouTube. Who's holding down Twitter? I saw somebody. Shakrita is holding down Twitter. Norman Reynolds, the survivor, is here as well. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get busy. I need to queue one other thing up before I get started, because if I don't queue it up now, I am going to forget. And if I forget it, those folks who depend on me linking that stuff when we start, they're going to send me those nasty emails. And given that I'm a nice guy, I always respond with one message. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. My audience forgot to remind me. Anyhow, let's get busy. I want you guys to see some numbers. Everybody's been talking about law and order. The law and order message is going to take off. The law and order message is going to scare Biden, and it's going to scare the Democrats because, you know, they are not in for law and order, and Americans want law and order. what they don't realize is when that law and order stuff people used to talk about, it was to keep the other under control, right? That's what law and order was all about, keeping the other under control. It wasn't about really, real law and order, you know? So here's the deal. So Trump goes out there and he believed he was still living in the world of Nixon. He believed he was in the world of Nixon. You know, the world of Nixon believes in treating people wrongly, in using white supremacy to control. But they forgot America is changing. They forgot our young people are wonderful people. Our young people have not forgotten. They know the truth. They know that we're all in this together. They know that. So when they did the poll after the two conventions, after the law and order, after the protest that they tried to categorize as riots, what happened? Well, here's what happened, people. Who do you think will make you safe? 50% of Americans said it's gonna be Biden, and the other 42%, which is basically Trump's base plus a delta, who think it would be Trump. So as it turns out, the messaging is not working. People got some polls, some off-end polls a few days ago that said it was closer in Pennsylvania than they thought. Guess what happened in Pennsylvania today? The new poll out of Pennsylvania, Biden 8 points. The new poll out of Florida, Biden 3. All the main states that are the swing states, Biden is ahead by 3 points or above. Texas, RCP has him at -1. Some of them have him much higher. Look, I've been talking landslide for a long time, people, and you're going to hear me talking about this ad nauseum. The landslide that we're going to have is going to be promoted by you. The landslide that we're going to have, it doesn't mean that it's ready. The landslide is not ready yet. You are going to make the landslide, and you have to make sure everybody out there is ready for the landslide because they have to do their part. We all have to do our part for a landslide. And why do we want a landslide? We want the beating to be so bad that even my brothers and sisters that somehow believe Trump has the ability to win doesn't stand a chance. Doesn't stand a chance, okay? So we want a landslide. But the second reason we also want a landslide is we want progressive policies. And the landslide comes when progressives go out there and vote. And my brother Tank 28, I love you, brother. I love you. Oh, wait, Tank, what are you doing on Twitch? You're supposed to be on YouTube. So what are you doing? Holding down Twitch now? Anyhow, here's the deal. The landslide is going to ensure that we can really force whoever is in power for the progressive policies that all of us want. And guess what? Even Tank 28 is going to survive. Even Tank 28 is going to love the progressive policies that we are going to give you, brother Tank. Okay, all right. Mail in your ballots, then go and vote in person. That's a felony. And you know that, Dimitri, mi hermano. You know that. But I know you're being facetious there. Anyhow, the next thing that I want to show you is the following, okay? Here is, this is what's so bad about our electoral system. America is not a democracy. I've told you that before. America is also not a meritocracy. We have to learn this because the only way we are going to change America is relying on those facts. And yes, we can say all of that. 2020 has been a horrible year. I can tell you about what has happened to my daughter, what has happened to my mother-in-law, what has happened to my cousin. This has been a crazy year. But you know what? I love something that Biden did say a few minutes ago. Eternal optimism. And I want all of us out here, irrespective of your belief, all my Berniacs, all my Bernie brothers and sisters, you guys know I'm a Bernie guy, but I'm going full Democrat this election. And all of us really should go full Democrat this election unabashedly. Listen to what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, because remember, we don't love politicians. We love policy. Always remember that. We love policy, not politicians. Why were we jumping on the Bernie bandwagon? Because we were jumping on the Bernie bandwagon because we want those policies. Okay, so let's continue. Let me tell you why this is not any good. Because Trump can lose by millions of votes. Look at what Nate Silver calculated. If Biden is ahead in all the votes by 2 to 3%, he can still lose the election. He still only has less than a 50% chance of winning. If he gets to 4 points, 74% chance. If he gets to 5 points, an 89% chance. If he gets to 6 or 7 points, 99% chance of winning. Now, we don't only want, again, what we want is a large win. Because with the large win means the progressive base has come through. Just like the progressive base came through for Markey in Massachusetts, we need it to come all the way out. Okay, now that I've got through that little thing, I want to play Katy Tur for you. Because a lot of the misinformation that is going out there, a lot of the misinformation that has guys like my brother Mike Cisak confused, is coming off of Facebook, or started at Facebook, or was implemented on Facebook, and then it made it through all these different channels, right? But many of it started there. What we have to do, right? We have to win big to mitigate that, but we also have to control Facebook. We have to make sure that Facebook doesn't continue to be that unabashed promotion of misinformation. And in that light, let's go ahead and talk to our little friend here. Check this out. Katy Tur, MSNBC host. We had an epic takedown of Facebook VP on taking down the president's lies, its president tweets. Let's take a listen to this because she did a great job with it. Take a look at this.
You know your Facebook users. You know them well. You also know that many of them, especially the supporters of Donald Trump, don't trust media outlets, don't trust fact checkers, don't trust other campaigns to go and correct the record. Their primary source of information is social media, is Facebook. They go there, they go to the president's page, and they take that as gospel. Right now on the president's page, he's saying a number of things that are dangerous and flat out wrong about this election. He says because of mail-in ballots, 2020 will be the most rigged election in our nation's history. That is not true, and it's dangerous misinformation about the election. He says Democrats will destroy our suburbs. Again, dangerous misinformation. Corrupt Joe Biden wants to defund our police. He doesn't. He's never said he wanted to defund the police. Corrupt Joe Biden has confirmed that he would give unlimited health care to illegal immigrants. I mean, he hasn't said that. This is dangerous misinformation, especially the top two are about the mail-in ballots and the rigged election. That is contrary to what, I'm sorry, is fact. And to expect Facebook users to go to fact checkers or to rely on the news media, I think you're asking a lot. Why not just go in and correct it yourself or not allow it on your website when it's being shared so frequently?
Well, actually, on your first screenshot, you'll see that we have done precisely that this morning, that under the new policy that we've announced this morning, we have already applied a new label, which didn't exist before, which is not neutral. It says very clearly that mail-in balloting has a history of trustworthiness in US elections, and that's what's predicted this time around. So we are actually taking an unprecedented step. We are applying a label, in this case, to the president's post, but it could be other people, where they discuss voting methods. And we say very clearly to users, as the post appears on their feed, look, the mail-in voting, mail-in ballots have a long history of trustworthiness in US elections, and that's predicted to be the same this time as well. So that is a very good example, as it happens, of our new policy in action this very morning over the last few hours. Look, I totally accept that there are always going to be people who say you should go further, you should remove everything that people question or don't like. Other people who say that we take down too much.
It's not questioning or don't. I'm sorry, Nick, I'm going to interrupt here. That's not questioning or not what you don't like. This is stuff that is dangerous. It's dangerous to our democracy, and it is false. Adding a label is not really going to do much to somebody who doesn't believe anybody but Donald Trump. And there are thousands, if not millions, of those voters out there who are going to your site and these pages on your site for primary information, not to mention what gets shared, not even from these political pages, these official political pages, but the content that gets shared among your users. Adding a label, again, like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound.
Well, I disagree with that strongly. The evidence shows very clearly that actually having a clear label right on the face of a post is very visible to users. Users do respond to that. So I don't accept the argument.
Why not just take it down if it's false, if it's dangerously false? Why not just take it down?
For a very simple reason. There is a totally legitimate space in an open, free society for people to debate different methods of voting. It's been, as you know, people have, on all sides of the aisle, by the way, not just Republicans, Democrats as well, have had debates about the virtues and vices of mail-in balloting as opposed to in-person voting. It would be very odd indeed, and I suspect many people would feel quite unsettled by this, if a private company was going to seek to eliminate discussion, and sometimes legitimate discussion, about different methods of voting, including in this exceptional time of pandemic. So what we're doing is we will remove, and we do, by the way, we've removed a number of posts from Donald Trump and indeed others over the last several weeks and months. So of course we do that. So for instance, as we've confirmed this morning, if someone says that if you vote, you will get COVID, we will remove that. But in other instances where, by the way, different states, even different counties in different states have different methods of voting, it is not the role of a private Silicon Valley company to just eliminate all discussion about the twists and turns of those different systems. What we are doing, I've started to do this morning, is very prominently say to people, when it comes to mail-in balloting in particular, that this is a method of voting which has a long history of trustworthiness in the US, and it's predicted to be the same.
Nick, with all due respect, it's not a debate about about what is the best type of voting or the easiest way to vote or what someone might think is a more trustworthy way to vote. The president is saying outright that the election will be rigged because of mail-in ballots. There are officials across this country who are super concerned about what that might lead to on Election Day, and that sort of information, misinformation, disinformation is being spread on your site. One more question. The president has now just tried to clarify what he said yesterday in North Carolina about telling people to vote by mail and then to go to their polling place and vote again. He's now saying go to your polling place and ask if your mail-in ballot has been tabulated. That way you'll know if the mail-in system works. If it hasn't been tabulated, or they say it has not, go in and vote. Here's the problem. A lot of these places don't start tabulating these ballots until Election Day, until the day of the polls. So it's just not possible to go to a polling place and say, have you tabulated my ballot, and have that poll worker be able to look up that information. You're not allowed to vote twice in this country. It is a felony. It is voter fraud. And the president is putting that information out there. He's the president of the United States. There are many people who will believe that, regardless of a fact check or a label that you might put on Facebook. Why not just take it down?
So if what he said in the video, I think we're going to lose many of your viewers, I'm afraid, because this is, many might be not aware of the difference between what he said in a television interview yesterday and this post, which are different. But if he had said in a post what he said in that video yesterday, where he appeared to be saying, encouraging people to vote twice, we would remove that, because you're quite right, that is simply not allowed on our platform. However, the debates about whether, once one has voted by mail, whether one can then check whether that vote has been counted before the election day is completed, that is a important but subtly different thing, which is why we've applied this label. Now, I accept that you're saying, yes, but you should remove both, not just only remove one and apply a label to another. I would simply say in reply that it is in a country where the voting methods vary as much as they do, from state to state, even from county to county, is exceptionally difficult sometimes to decide where to draw the line. We've been very clear where we draw the line. We have removed content from the president and others where that line is crossed. And we are now, as of today, in an unprecedented move, putting a very, very prominent label, reassuring people, because people want to be reassured that voting is safe and fair and is something they can do come November the 4th.
It's unprecedented, but these are unprecedented times that we're living in. Nick Clegg, thank you so much for joining us. I will quibble. I think our viewers are well able to keep up with this conversation and do find it as interesting and as important as certainly I do. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Hey, did you see the little nudge she gave him there? Hey, I've got intelligent viewers. I've got intelligent viewers. You don't have to say we are going to take it to the weeds. You know, look, and I'm going to speak about me now. Look at my viewers, man. These are great folks, very smart. Anyhow, let's go ahead now and listen to the guy from Kenosha, Wisconsin, because I think you're going to like that story, and then we'll take it on the other side where I'll come back and answer all those questions. I think I'll have enough time to do that. Yes, I will. So let's get started. Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. I'm here with Daniel Thompson. Daniel Thompson has a story to tell. You know, we talk a whole lot about the media here at Politics Done Right. The media defines what people believe about not only community, not only economic system, not only racial issues, just about everything. And if that is gotten wrong, that can completely change the nature of society, period. I'm here with Daniel Thompson, who is an editor at the Kenosha News. Welcome aboard, Daniel. News, yes. Thank you very much for being here with me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Let me tell. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, former editor at the Kenosha News now, I guess.
Former editor, but let me tell you something. When I read your story, actually I didn't get the original from the New York Times. I just have a feed that people would send me. Hey, did you know this happened? Or
yeah,
telling you what happened. And the first thing that got to me, Daniel, is excitement. And the reason it was excitement is that we need to have a hell of a lot more people like you who do exactly what you did. So let's go ahead and ask you to tell me the story, and then I'm going to explain further later.
Okay. So kind of the story is, a little bit of background is, so I've been covering the protests locally in Kenosha since they first came to Kenosha following the shooting, the death of George Floyd. So the first night we had cars coming into Kenosha that were, doing honking, chanting Black Lives Matter, kind of parading down 75th Street, which is the main road kind of down to Lake Michigan. I was actually off that day, but I had heard about it, so I ran and jumped in the middle of it, found it, and all the live videos you see from Kenosha News from that night are me. And so at that point, I started following all the local protests, because we started having protests, all different kinds, even several in one day every single weekend. But organized
even before Blake.
Even before Blake. And it was around that time, I want to say, that the county and city started, throwing out some verbiage. I think they declared racism a health crisis through a resolution at the county board level. But there were things happening, and I had been kind of there for all of it. And I got to know a lot of these people. So when I was actually on vacation this past week, so I wasn't working. I was just going as a citizen. Again, because I know a lot of these people, and also I'm biracial. So these things obviously have an impact on me, these issues. So I went to the event, and it was beautiful to me, because a lot of the time I've been walking up to these sort of events almost tense, because you never know what's going to happen. And it's not even the people that are there or that organized it. You don't know what people that don't like that event are going to do in response to that event. So it's always a little bit tense. But this time when I walked up, and I had my camera with me just to document things in case it was needed, I walked up and I saw children playing. I saw people of all colors. I saw food. I saw community is what I saw. So I actually put my camera back in my car, and I just decided I'm just going to enjoy it. And I walked back and I found Corey Washington, who is on Twitter as @Corey Elijah, and is actually legitimate to me, a Kenosha hero, because around the time that I started covering the local protests, Corey, who's this young black man who you'll see kind of skating around town on his board holding a gimbal with his cell phone. He just does live videos. And it's incredible because honestly, out of anybody, Corey Washington probably is the one who has documented objectively the most out of anybody, because he has gone live every night. And I've even looked at his videos to verify some things that I heard, which has been extremely helpful. So I just want to mention him because this is another man that has been out there every day, and that has actually, before my name exploded, Corey was the go-to for accurate reporting or watching what was going on, and he still is. I will never be able to compete with Corey, but no, it was, I turned to him because I saw him there, and I knew he would be there. He's always at everything. And realizing that we had both been kind of covering everything, the same things over the same length of time, I turned to him and I said to him, I think this is the event we've been waiting for. And that wasn't said for, it wasn't me saying that for us just as, you know, people of color. It was as a city, because the city's been tense this whole entire time. I mean, yell Black Lives Matter down any street in Kenosha right now and just see what happens. You know, and I'm not saying that people are hostile to that. It's just, it's hard for people to separate the peaceful protesters from violent rioters. So they're all lumped together. So anytime somebody hears Black Lives Matter after, you know, what happened here in Kenosha, even recently with what happened with uptown businesses being burned down, it's a tense thing. And same with Back the Blue or Back the Badge or Blue Lives Matter. It's an instant tense situation when you chant anything like that. But anyway, this event, when we marched to Civic Center Park and it was filled. And it was the same kind of thing. I mean, I marched with holding a peace banner that was tie-dyed. I think the name is Ashley Roscoe. I think she's the person that created that. But I ended up actually holding it with a small child at the park, because my friend who was holding the other side decided to take a break, and this little girl wanted to hold a banner. So I'm standing there at one point holding a banner with a little girl that I don't know. And she's smiling, but after a while you can tell like she really regretted committing to it, because she didn't realize what it was like. But I eventually let somebody else hold, started walking around, and I saw more things. I saw Amish and Mennonite children, both white and black, playing. In fact, one of the children had punctured a hole in the bottom of the water bottle and was squeezing it and was giving water to the other two, a little black girl and a little white boy. And that, I took a picture of that and I captioned it, "Hate is learned." And you can find that on my Facebook.
Exactly, man.
So, and you see, and that's the environment that we were in. But I noticed the quote that Kenosha News used too. And I noticed that speaker and a lot of things, because the event, so when this speaker that was quoted by Kenosha News, that I don't even know who it was. I don't think anybody ever
I tell you what, just for the sake of our audience, tell them what Kenosha News did, and then we continue with what you're saying.
Okay. So Kenosha News, what happened in the end is that this event was peaceful, but there was an instance where there was a speaker who honestly should have either been cut off or probably shouldn't have been a speaker at that event. Because in my opinion, they put a bullet in a gun that was empty before they spoke. And I say that this way because what happened in the end is, and as soon as I heard the quote, which was, I believe, if you kill one of ours, it's time to kill one of yours, or something like that, something to that effect, which immediately cringe from me. And I was totally against that, but I knew somebody would use it. I knew it would be in a headline. I thought it'd be a national outlet,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. But when I got home and I saw a friend railing against a headline by the Kenosha News or a Kenosha News article, and most of the time, or sometimes there are state, national wire stories that just flow into their website, and a social news desk will sweep it every 15 minutes and pump it out on social media. So sometimes those get mixed in with local. So I thought maybe that was it. Click on it, look at the text, realize it's the event I was at. So what happened after that was I screenshot it and I circled the headline in red. And I texted it to my former boss now, Bob Heiss, who is the executive editor of the Kenosha News. And what I said was that I wanted to know exactly who wrote that headline because it was grossly negligent and inappropriate. And I know, just to take a moment to acknowledge one thing, I know that a lot of people have had a reaction to kind of my reaction to the headline or to even that quote. And I've been saying constantly since day one, I fully support that quote being in the story. It happened. It was an important piece. I mean, this speaker went completely against what the Blake family wanted that message to be. And in that way, ruined almost this entirely peaceful event. Because now, going back to seeing that headline and mentioning to my boss is because putting that in the headline makes it seem like that's what the event was. But it was somebody who, it was one person, it was a sentence. It was a sentence out of a 3-hour event. And I know that there's some talk of how it was a public threat. And to that, I'd say this. If it was a public threat, there would have been something put out immediately if the journalist doing it or that wrote that story thought it was credible. I will continue on to the resignation part, but I'll finish this little segue and this little kind of explanation or background part with this is that the thing that I kind of thought about with the headline and the question I've kind of come up to ask with it, and it's more of a question of what type of person are you dealing with when you're looking at that headline. For instance, if you're standing in a crowded room and somebody somewhere in the room yells, "Fire," are you the type of person that's going to immediately, without looking, run for the exit? Or are you going to look around and see if you actually smell smoke or see flame? Now, in saying that, why I railed against the headline was that, yes, somebody yelled fire, but there was no smoke, no flame. Mr. Blake had called for the entire country to take the night off of rioting and protesting for a night of peace. Every other speaker was calling for police accountability, of course, and for peace and for progress. So when I got home and read the Kenosha News headline, I was angry. And I sent 3 texts to my boss, to Bob. And his response was, I think the last one was that, I basically the effect of, I needed to calm down, but I wanted you to know immediately. And his response was, yes, you need to calm down. It was an exact quote. It was a public threat at an event that was, to that point, completely on message. Which, yeah, it was completely on message to that point. And then I responded, then I quit. And then he responded, saying, send me a letter of resignation in an email. It's on video. And the last thing we've ever said to each other was me a minute later sending a text that was sent. And that was me resigning from Kenosha News.
I think that was extremely important. And I have such a high level of respect because I think if more people did that, because there's so many, I think you were rather kind, okay? In other words, there's one particular article that was written about it that you said you don't even think they knew exactly what they were doing. I am sorry, he did. The fact that you came up with a phrase that it was threatening somebody, knowing that if it really were a threat to somebody, somebody else would have reported that as, hey, we have to keep our eyes open on that. And you don't print. And the other thing is, you have to be careful with newspapers, with the media, etc. You use the example of calling fire in a room.
Yeah.
In effect, that was you had a complete event that was peaceful. You have one person. Suppose it was somebody who just came out and shouted that in the middle of the stage or whatever.
Yeah.
Would that have been reported? Which is effectively a similarity. Would that have been reported that way? Hello. Here's the thing. At that point, it was your newspaper that was shouting fire in a crowded room, because where Kenosha is at the heights of tension right now, that could be something that threw a whole lot of people over the edge, instigated by your newspaper.
Exactly, and that's why I resigned. Between me sending the screenshot to Bob and me sending the last text that I had sent my resignation, 20 minutes passed. And it only took that long because of delay in response between both of us. And I see what you're saying, and it's true. And that's why I was so disturbed, because literally days prior, or not even, no, it was days, but 2 people were gunned down in the streets of Kenosha by a 17-year-old that was there to protect businesses he did not own. I don't know his affiliation with it, but he was there because of these high tensions. So at a time when that's just happened, in a time where the community badly needed de-escalation from anybody, there came this headline that escalated.
And what is interesting is I just kind of scanned through the paper. I didn't have a whole lot of time, right? But
Yeah.
it seemed interesting that Rittenhouse has not gotten the treatment that I think he deserves as being a criminal, a thug, maybe a thug with a different demeanor, but somebody that comes in, and I don't care about the criminal records of the 2 dead persons and the person who lost a hand or something like that. I saw a very measured piece that says everybody acted badly. The people everybody acted badly, but
there was a curfew. Everybody who was out there was technically doing something criminal.
Right. But 2 died.
Exactly.
And the people that are getting the most scrutiny right now are the 2 that died.
And that's always what happens. Think about it this way. Just like people have been, and I don't do this myself, but people look at me almost like a hero because of what I did overnight, right? Same way some people are looking at Kyle Rittenhouse. He's a hero to a swath of, hopefully a small segment of the country, I would like to think. But that's the tragic part of all this, is that, yeah, the victims do get demonized because the shooter becomes a hero. The shooter becomes a hero as long as people think they look like a hero.
Right. The thing about it, though, is we know where all of this is coming from. We know the carnality of where our leadership has led us right now. I mean, it's a lot of times I like to say that fear that's in people, but I don't know too much of its fear, in as much as we are not going to be the domination people that we were at one point in time. I am not exactly sure how to best express it. I don't know if you have thoughts.
I'm trying to think. Could say that again?
Well, I, a lot of these people think they have the right to protect something. I always tell them on my show.
Okay.
On my show, I always tell my people, my audience is mostly white. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of good folks that follow me, etc. And what we always come to, and again, it's a real conclusion, and that is, people are fighting for something they thought they had but never had, because they are just a part of a system, and this system does some gradations to maintain itself. And everybody in it except sans the top, they're but pawns in the system design otherwise. And my audience realizes, well, my progressive audience realizes that I have a large conservative audience as well, but they don't quite get it. They're constantly making, what I like to say is they're making us better, because we have to come up with the arguments to sort of dispute those issues.
It's to me, even when it comes to talking about issues right nowadays. So, and especially lately, like I've even realized this now since I resigned, and now there's more attention, especially on Twitter towards me, and the kind of back and forths I've gotten into people and with people is that it is so important for all of us to talk right now, but it really takes one person not being emotional.
Right.
Let me put it this way. So I did something horribly wrong on the second day of this whole situation that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I, was angry, and somebody had just texted me and said, you know who it was, right? And then I found out who wrote that headline. So I was livid again. And so I went on the almost scorched earth path of being angry of, I know who it is. I'm going to out this person in 24 hours. And I bring that up, and people can look at my Twitter feed and see kind of throughout the day how that changed and how I was reacting and how I was listening to people and responding, which ultimately made me decide I'm not going to do that. That'd be wrong too. But it also humbled me in a way, because I'm so lucky that I had so many people call me out and make me reconsider my position. And I'm lucky that I was just calm enough to listen. Because let's say that I had followed through on that threat. 24 hours. Okay, so I throw this person's name out there, right? So I just retaliated for somebody writing a headline that incited violence by naming somebody knowing that somebody might harm them and their family.
Right.
In the end, the hypocrisy in what I was doing was heavy.
Right.
But I say that to say this. It is so easy to swing from one side to the other.
Right.
And think that it is almost righteous anger.
That is so true. I just wrote a book, and it just came out 2 weeks ago. It's called It's Worth It: How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. And the reason I did that was you encapsulate a whole lot of that, including the retrospection that you had. There were times I always tell people about some of my own prejudices that I had to get over. And I use that as examples as how best to be able to talk to folks on the other side. Because no matter what you think about the other people, no matter whether you think they're racist, sexist, homophobes, or whatever, they just have an ism that generally speaking, I'm sorry, can be broken, And so we go ahead.
So, and it's funny you bring that up about trying to talk to different people, because it's funny. Even when I've been at protests and there are counter protests, let's say, I don't remember what day it was, but there was a protest at the Columbus statue in Kenosha, and there was a huge counter protest around the statue. At one point, and I find myself doing this just because I'm always open to talking to people of opposing views. Yeah, I'm curious. And also, I think adding, talking to more people and forcing yourself to talk to people that especially think things that you don't think or that you don't believe helps your understanding. And especially as a journalist,
Yes,
it would help me understand more topics that I cover
it
in a
makes you
more
better.
real way. Yeah. So I often talk to people, and I actually had a great conversation with somebody who was a counter protester there, who laid out many of just the logistical problems of removing the Columbus statue in Kenosha. So I gained more information from talking to this person. And that's the thing that is, for one, it's encouraging that I can do that, but it's also disheartening that that is rare, or that a lot of us aren't able to do that.
I think what we have to do is, and again, that's one of the reasons that I wrote it, is that we have to put ourselves in a modal that allows us to do that. And there's something very important that you said, and that is somebody in the room has to be the one willing to just take it. You know, somebody in the, and generally speaking, that's who I am. I mean, I get a lot of flack a lot of times from the left flank for taking it, but I would let people, I let people know that I'm genuinely listening to absolutely everything that they're saying before I am going to respond. I'm not looking for a response as a comeback. I'm looking for a response after understanding where they are coming from, and it makes for good dialogue. But
It does.
yeah, it makes for great dialogue. But look, we're coming at the end of our time here, and I want to thank you. This was an impromptu interview. I just read about you and got in touch with you and said, I gotta talk to this guy, because this guy, and you don't want to take the word hero. I'm going to tell you, if I call somebody a hero, brother, that person is a hero, man. Because let me tell you something. There are very few people that are willing to give up their place of employment on principle. And in fact, that is what keeps our society in the state that it is, because everybody has it's a price when you give up everything for something of this type. There's a price that you pay. And
There,
we understand
there,
that. And not, some people can't do it. Some people won't do it. You did it, my hero. Uh,
thank you.
Daniel Thompson, thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right. Respect, and I hope to talk to you sometime. I hope you're going to be into your own journalistic company and that you're going to do things completely on your own. Tell me a little bit about that before we leave.
I am already in the process of putting together infrastructure and everything like that to start my own company in Kenosha.
Excellent. Well, I'll be following your stories, sir, and I hope to get info from you and place you right there on my Politics Done Right and egbertowillies.com site, sir. Thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you for speaking to me.
Okay, folks, I hope you like that. I want to, I was watching the scroll a bit. I just want to go ahead and do a few things real quick. First, I want to talk to my brother, Rudnan. Brother Rudnan, I hear you. You say, oh, I pretty much give a lot of string to the guys who are, let's say, trolls or whatever you call some of the conservatives here, that yes, in fact, they do a lot of trolling. But I mean, the thing about it is they troll with stuff that's out there in the ethos, in the conservative ethos. And since we are all over on Facebook Watch and Twitch, all these places, right? And the thing about it is, for the person that just come and get it, when Rudnin, when CSAC or Ledo say something and there's a conversation or pushback or whatever, the good thing that happens is many people that are staying quiet sometimes see either that the argument is generally nonsensical or it opens them to that. And I know you don't see it, but if you got the letters and the that I get from conservatives who would come back and say, damn, I didn't really see it that way. You mean that is how we really sound? I mean, I remember CSEC said one thing one time, I don't remember. And that right as soon as I was over with the show, somebody sent me an email, a conservative sent me an email. Oh my God, I can't believe that is what we sound. He took it to the limit. Now, when it comes to, somebody else said something, when it comes now to brother Tank 28, Tank 28 says, hey, I don't see anything that I can agree with you, supposedly, but I can talk to you. Yeah, me too, Tank 28. Because if you and I are talking, guess what? We are not fighting. And if we're not fighting and you're talking to me and we can have the respect for each other, brother, that means at some point in time you may listen to something that I have to say and vice versa. And you may just see the fact about what I'm talking about. And by the way, I like that you like my bookcase and my fake bookcase in the back. I wanted to do a little change up here. Now back to Ledo. Ledo has a feeling that when Norman goes ahead and confronts Ledo about about whether if a right is something that's means somebody else is paying for. Well, I can use that for gun control. I can use that argument in anything to show how silly it really is. No, a right says we as a society accept these as basic inalienable rights that nobody can take away from us, and we build our society in that framework that says this is what we stand for. So when it comes to healthcare, we say healthcare is a human right. So therefore, when we start paying all our taxes or whatever, that is something that comes out. Everybody in our country will have healthcare because we as a country, as a humane country, decide that healthcare is going to be a right in this country, and therefore our taxes will always pay for it. Just like we've decided our country will have paved roads, and our taxes, no matter what, goes to ensure that the roads are paved and that all these things are done. We decide what society looks like, what a humane society looks like, and then all of us concurrently pay for it. But when you partake it in a self, what I find ironic is that the people who claim to be pro-lifers are the same people who would deny all these things as rights. The hypocrisy, and it's good that we all see the hypocrisy that has come out with Falwell and all these guys. We realize that all of it is pretty much a facade of evil, and that facade of evil is then goes down to make an argument that somehow good people like Mike Cisak, Ledo, Tank 28, and all our other conservatives can see. You see, when we have the Reynolds and the Rudnins and all of these guys, they know the truth. Bruce Pollard, Brigitte, they know the truth. We will get the truth to you in some way, some form, at some time as well. Let me see. Before we go, I haven't advertised anything yet, right? Folks, please go ahead and consider becoming subscribers to Politics Done Right. Why do you need to become subscribers to Politics Done Right? Because what we are going to do is we have to help promote the message. The mainstream media can't do it. They have the means to do it, but they can't because who support them. Okay? So, folks, please go to, where is it now? Come on now. Let's see if that'll take. Please go ahead and, yeah. Oh, thank you, Rose Williams, one of our people as well. I am going to have to go ahead and do my chat again. Let's see if it'll let me do it because I am unable to show you links. But anyhow, please go to politicsdoneright.com/store, politicsdoneright.com/store, and to get our books, etc. Please go to Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon to become a subscriber. If you want to provide some additional support for our program, please go ahead and go to on PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can also become a subscriber on Facebook. Go to politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. Or again, politicsdoneright.com/store to get our products, which means our cups. Para ver, mira esto. You can get our cups, t-shirts, books. By the way, I have the books in stock now, or you don't have to go to Amazon. You can go directly to our store and get the books as well. We have several books. Check it out. Go to politicsdoneright.com/store. Yeah, I hate FB not showing videos today. I didn't know FB wasn't showing videos. I didn't know that. You're going to have to tell me a little bit about that, Brigitte. Okay, and please go ahead and consider getting our book. Here is the link to the book. I have a new book in there. Please go ahead and purchase our book. That is how you also help support Politics Done Right. Hey, Bridge, what do you mean that you're not able to see videos? I think everybody else can see videos. Is that correct? Anyhow, please go to, again, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon to become a subscriber. That is how we are going to get the job done. Okay, I still have a couple minutes, or actually a minute. Let me see if there's a message that is begging for a response. Bear with me 1 second. Let's see. We are having trouble playing the video. Oh, I'm so sorry, Brige. Anybody else having problems playing the video? Because it's not, it's live, so it should be. You should always be able to see. Let's see what. Okay. Anyhow, let me do my last salute. See if anybody else new came in to the fold. Rose Williams, welcome aboard. I hadn't seen you before. Brian Miner, I don't think I called you out before either. I called out Tank 28 several times, and Tank's been active. And Brother Reynolds, Norman Reynolds has been active quite a while. Daniel Ledo, I'm calling you out now. Let's see if there's anybody else. If I missed you, just drop me a line. I like to call out everybody. Hey, wow, you guys were busy on the message. We got 100 and something new messages, buddies. You guys are great. Let's see where else. Okay, I want to address one quick thing with Lee Grant. Lee Grant says your article enjoins us to do the necessary work to mitigate that headline. That work seems to ignore or dismiss the uncomfortable truth that a Kenosha rally participant was quoted saying, "If you kill one of us, it's time to kill us to kill one of you." That is the issue, right? We always like to concentrate on that one thing, that one person who says it, and that gives a lot of people some ammunition to, to hit. I say look at works. Look at the works of people. Look at the people who have caused harm. Look at the people who do wrong. I think that is something that answers all questions. That is something that answers all questions. Anyway, folks, my name is Egberto Willies. I thank you so kindly for being here with me. Couldn't have done it without you. I know you could be anywhere else, but you're here. So I thank you. I respect you. I honor you. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel. And please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.